is Raquel Okyay. All right, close. Okay. All right, close. Okay. She holds a show, does a show called In the Crosshairs. If that's correct. She will fix that on there. So she's gonna come up here and say a few words for us. Woo.
Well, Rocky.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Kevin Zona, and thank you, Richard Naskak, and thank you all of Florida Carry for being just an awesome group in Florida, a place for all of us to go and get great information and support. I'm not your typical gun supporter. I'm a New York City girl. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Cuban, Latina woman from New York City, and when I grew up, there were no guns in my house. However, I did grow up with very conservative parents. And they taught me, first generation American, and they taught me to love my country. And my father, who came from a communist country of Cuba, had to escape communism and get political asylum legally before he came to this country. And what he did was frame an exact replica of the United States Constitution on my living room wall. So what I was raised up with was a really great respect for the United States of America. And my father told me to kiss the ground I walk on because I live in America and I am free.
Amen.
So my background was such that I was definitely involved in politics. I was on the board of directors of the New York Young Republican Club. I was a volunteer with crisis pregnancy centers in New York City, and I got involved with the Conservative Party of New York. In that time, I ran for New York City Council on a very conservative party platform, and I started writing my own blog. And it was a political blog, mostly about conservative politics. So it started getting a lot of readers' attention, kind of right before Facebook came out, and it kind of coincided. I was able to use Facebook to promote my articles on this political blog. And then I got a phone call from an editor at the conservative news journal called Human Events. Maybe some of you will remember. Human Events was a conservative news journal out of D.C., Ronald Reagan's favorite newspaper. So I got a call from a senior editor, Neil McCabe, award-winning journalist, and he said, you know, I took a look at your site, I really like your stuff, you're a good writer. What do you think about writing for Human Events? And before he could finish asking the question, of course my answer was yes. Yes. And then his second question was, what do you think about writing about the Second Amendment? And again, my answer was yes. I'm not really sure. I support the Second Amendment. I don't know anything about guns, but I know I support it. So yes, I can do that. And really, that was the start of my career talking about gun rights and civil rights, rather, which is true. It's a civil right. It's not. Your gun rights they're natural. Your right to defend yourself is a natural gift from God. No government can tell us that we cannot defend ourselves in whatever manner we so choose. Whatever manner it is, that's a natural right. And in fact, the founding fathers knew that too, because when they constructed the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights wasn't in it. The reason why it wasn't in it wasn't because it's ignored. It was because they already knew it existed. We didn't need laws to tell us that we have rights. But as time went by, it took about a year later, they added the Bill of Rights, and that was because they were afraid of these rights being abused. So they knew that there was some window of opportunity for it to be abused, and then they made it into the Bill of Rights. But that's just how important the Second Amendment is, because it's not just that it's part of the Constitution. It's that it is a natural right. From the beginning of time, if you can just think about hunters and gatherers. You had to be able to hunt you had to be able to make your own firearms, make your own self-defense measures, and that's what people did to protect their families. And so this is nothing new. It's been going on since the beginning of time. And what I learned with when I started writing for Human Events, I was so lucky to get the job, and I wrote for them for 4 years, and my job was to contribute 4 articles a month just on 2A, and 2 articles a month on politics in general. But the majority of my work is 2A. So once I start delving into this topic and interviewing people for my articles, I'm telling you, I learn, I still learn. I'm learning today. Every time I interview a new person, the gun rights community is so fabulous. You guys are like a family. Where's Charlie? Right, Charlie? And every year I meet so many new fantastic people and interview more people. So I wrote for Human Events for 4 years. They ended up selling, and I lost my job. But at the time, because I was writing so much about guns, I literally was dreaming about it. Like I have dreams about guns. There's always like a gun in the background. It's just constant. So I really was lonely. But what am I going to do now? I can't. I'm not writing about civil rights, the civil right of your gun rights. And I started then doing a radio podcast. I started doing YouTube interviews. I did about 38 episodes of In the Crosshairs, which was a video blog program interviewing all of the gun people, and it's fascinating. And the reason why I started doing that was because I really wanted the public to see that us, NRA members, we are regular people. We're just like everybody else, and we do get such a negative connotation. And what I wanted to do was go ahead and make a very comfortable one-on-one conversation. People can go to YouTube. Now I'm doing Raquel, Okyay Reloaded, and that's with the Liberty First Foundation. You can find that L1F.us. And right now I'm doing a series of interviews for NRA candidates for Board of Directors 2019. And that's been absolutely fabulous because I get the chance to talk to all of these board members and candidates and people running for re-election and really all the leaders in the movement. And I'm telling you, I just learned so much from them. It's absolutely fantastic to be in this movement. So that would be about, I'm also published at AmmoLand, Rockland County Times, Town Hall. And one of the things that came out like right from the beginning about the gun control laws, because it really took over time, is once you get it, you're done. You never go back. So I got to a point where, okay, I really get this now. And what I learned that gun control laws stemmed from the time after the Civil War, and that was when the blacks were free. And they were called freemen at the time. And the anti-people, they didn't want the blacks to have guns. It's just the truth. It's based on racism. Gun control laws are based on racism. That's what the research says. The data says it. So when I learned that, it's really, it like comes to a shock. Like, why is everybody trying to promote this gun control stuff when all it is stems from racism? And if I have the right to have a firearm, then you should have a right to have a firearm, and all of us should have a right. And it's our natural right. And there really shouldn't be any government to tell us otherwise. One thing that really stood out with me, that the idea that the guns are the natural rights, your natural choice. Nobody can stop you from defending yourself and your family if your life is at risk. And the other issue was the racism part of it. I didn't like the racism part of it. So the people nowadays, say gun control. What they're trying to do is they're trying to keep people down. They have armed guards, Nancy Pelosi, Mayor Bloomberg. They're completely protected. Oh, they like those firearms. But they don't want you to have firearms, and that's just a double standard and not fair. I'm just not doing it. So now we have 20,000 gun controls on the books, statewide, local, and nationwide. And what do? They penalize lawful gun owners. Thank you.
That's the best paperweight you're ever going to have.
So gun control laws, all they do is penalize law-abiding citizens. You want to know why? Because criminals, by definition, commit crimes. And they're not going to follow the laws. You can make all the laws in the world, and the criminals are still going to commit the acts. What we really should be doing is, if our society wants to do something about gun violence, which exists, well, we're going to have to delve into the problems behind why are these criminals behaving in the way they do. Let's create laws that stop the criminals, if we have to. But creating these 20,000 laws, like as if the next law, they're going to make up some law, is going to prevent something bad from happening. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. We also know by the data that areas with no gun control laws, they're the safest place to live. Because an armed society is a polite society. It's absolutely true. I also want to make a comment about the misinformation that's out in the media. It's really unfortunate. So you have to look behind some of the things that the pundits are saying, and including the surveys that they try to come up with and so on, because they're absolutely 9 out of 10 times they're inaccurate. Inaccurate. That's not me saying it. If you have a conversation and read one of Dr. John Lott's books, he was a famous economist who was pro-gun control scientist, and then when he got into the topic, because he was sort of looking for the other thing, he was looking for reasons why we should have gun control, and what he found out was, oh my goodness, we shouldn't have gun control. So he's an outspoken person, John Lott, and what he told me several times with many interviews I've had with him, and what he told me just straight up is that, Raquel, they're lying. He said, I look back, I look at all the details, I look at all the material, and I figure out that they just, they just twist little things, they misdefine things, and then all of a sudden, boom, gun control will help you. They come out with, and none of it is true. It's really important to be on top of these things, to look behind the author, look behind the data. Where's the data coming from? Because they're pretty devious. The anti-gunners, I find them to be very devious. So you want to be really careful about what they're telling you, because 9 times out of 10 it's false. Okay. I want to talk just a minute about being I want to ask every single female here to stand up if you don't mind. Or raise your hand. All right, let's give them a hand. I'm telling you that this is a gun, it's a man's world. Okay, no offense to you. It's okay, I don't mind. But as a female and a minority, it has not been easy. It's not easy getting to where I am right now. So I think it is very important for you guys to take your lady friends, your mom, your sister, your aunt, your nieces, your friends, and teach them a little bit about their Second Amendment civil rights. That it's not just about the sporting. It's not just about sporting. It's not about hunting. It's about your natural right to defend yourself in whatever way you want to. And nobody can tell you how to defend yourself. You are the only one. So when someone starts trying to take that away from you, the red flags have to go up. Because if they want to take that away from you, what else do they want? It's a dangerous world. What I'd like to do is just encourage, I just really want to thank you all for being here, first of all. Because what I say on my radio show a lot is the how to be a good activist. You show up. Just show up. Right? We could all be like home watching TV, on the couch, drinking a beer or something. We don't have to be here, but we did. We walked here, we got in our car, we got ready, we drove, we brought our camping stuff. Here we are. That means everything. Everything. Because when you all stop, who's next? Who's going to come? And you encourage others to come too. So you want to encourage your friends, your family, females, minorities, Very important, because from my perspective, it has not been easy. But I want to make it easy. I want to make it easy for women and minorities, because the Second Amendment, our civil rights, is much bigger, so much bigger. It's so much bigger than just a law, so much bigger. And I'm going to just end off with saying that if you want to make changes, you have to stay involved, and you have to keep showing up. Encourage your friends to show up. Just show up. And you really do have to vote your gun rights. You got to vote your gun rights. Okay, you got to go figure out who the heck is in your local area, statewide, federal. Reach out to those campaigns. Reach out to those candidates who are running for office. Educate them if you have to. Tell them how you feel about the Second Amendment, and spend your money. Spend your money, spend your time, spend some capital on helping these candidates get elected. It's very important. You have to vote your gun rights. When election time comes, if you're having a bad day, it's raining out, you don't feel like voting, too bad. Get your shoes on, get out there, and vote your gun rights. It's the only way we're going to change things. So thank you very much.
Thank you.